All right, so Sunny and I are back looking at some awesome properties here. Um, and today we're looking at executive retreat centers, places for companies to hold meetings, retreats, gatherings, any kind of like a conference. And we're looking here in Colorado, and I'm Utah too. And I would imagine, Sunny, these are great areas, kind of more in the middle of the country at a higher elevation, where a
Yes.
lot of companies are seeking to get away from the coast because the coastlines are becoming so unpredictable that a lot of the bigger companies are buying real estate in these areas just to get into like more of a longevity situation with their property. And the values are awesome in Colorado as well. So we've had a lot of people connecting with us around event spaces and around it's really about building culture and building community, like having a space to call home that everybody can gather and and grow and develop at. So I did a search here in Colorado, and this is what came up when I was looking at, say, 10 or more bedrooms. So you can see there's not really a lot of options on the market right now here in Colorado. Um, but I wanted to start at 10 or more bedrooms just to start somewhere and have at least like an intimate gathering space. People can even share a bedroom. Like these can be 10 families, these can be 10 like groups, 10 teams that come in and they can share bedrooms and things like that. Um, but Sunny, what kinds of companies have you seen that are seeking places like this?
Well, particularly in Utah and Colorado, based on, exactly what you had said before, we're seeing a lot of companies, large companies that potentially have offices on both coastlines, right? Or maybe they have an office in Texas and San Francisco. When you have multiple locations like that, it's really nice to be able to have kind of like a central space, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because then you're getting away because you can do it in your local offices, right? Like one time in Houston, one time in San Francisco. But at the same time, those who are from that space don't really get that break. And so it is kind of nice to be able to have a space that you can say, let's come here. Let's all meet. We're all going to pay for the team to come. And this is a really great team building opportunity. And so these are the kinds of businesses when you have multiple departments with really you want tight knit teams within there. So I would say any organization, this is really great for sales teams in particular. This is probably the space that I would say gets the most opportunities for team building. But I think any customer service, customer fulfillment, these are all great team opportunities to come to a location, do the team building, or to meet at the beginning of the year to strategize and map out how you're going to attack the year. What are your goals? What are, the KPIs that you're going to try and outline, or any obstacles from the previous year to try and address or resolve. Having an environment like this allows people a separate space outside of their office to come and just have that focused time. And so this is a great opportunity here where it's really easy hop from either coast. That's why Utah and Colorado are so beneficial. You have a really close access to an urban environment, right, with the downtown spaces.
Mhm.
But all of these locations are really within striking distance of there. So it allows them easy flights, which are always key, but to have that oasis and then still have the space for you guys to map out whatever that might be for your organization. So I've seen a lot actually in car dealerships.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, car dealerships, because their teams are so tight knit and you really want them to be able to go out there and have a really good understanding of both the inventory as well as the strategies to move the product. these types of retreats are really valuable.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of so many different uses. And once you actually own the property, it just opens it up to beyond what you could ever imagine as somebody renting properties like this. Like I know a lot of companies are renting spaces in order to maybe switch up the locations, or just because they're maybe not ready or they don't realize they're ready to jump into the ownership yet. But once you actually own the asset, then it just opens up a lot more growth opportunities within the company, as well as the financial portfolio, building wealth and tax strategy and all of that, which we can go into in other conversations. But for right now, I just wanted to show you what some of these assets can look like. So looking at, we did a search for 10 or more bedrooms, and it came up with this list here, which is not a lot of them, but there's these two, which I've actually been following for a while. They've, I've had these on my mind for this exact purpose. And so I wanted to show you these here. They both have very similar functions, but they're very different. They're very different. This one is also being sold as a bed and breakfast. Let's take a look at this one quickly first. And I want to really focus on this one here, because this, I think, is going to meet a lot of different needs. But then this one is also special because it's right at the base of a major ski resort, in all kinds of winter recreation, summer recreation. Like, could you imagine having this for your company, like say as an incentive, and say your sales team or your marketing team or whatever team within the company meets some milestone, they can all come and have a celebration here. You can meet clients here, take them skiing, do whatever outdoor. I mean, Colorado's like the epicenter for outdoor recreation. So
Yeah, I really like this. And I think this is such a great property to show anyone who is interested in the idea of either for a corporate retreat, or just, you know, any kind of gathering place where you really want to be able to have the opportunity to get a large group of people together. I actually really enjoy this property because it's already set up as a bed and breakfast, which means the building itself is already almost turnkey available
oh
to
yeah,
say, come, all the, you know, because all the bedrooms are separated, everything is already kind of done for you, that you really could say, you know, we want this to be an opportunity right away. And this could be, you know, the inaugural stay with a team, or, you know, this could be something that you could give away. I could totally see this as, you know, like an end of year, right? Like
oh
end of
yeah,
year bonus. You get an opportunity for, you know, there are 10 spots here for the top 10 performers in the company to come and do this amazing experience. And you know, they get an all expenses flight to here plus 2 nights, like, and have that kind of experience as either a reward system, the
right,
team
yeah.
building. And I do like the fact that it's so close to the skiing and the
Mhm.
outdoor activities, because this gives you a chance to really like pitch that incentive list, not just in the sense of getting away, that it's not just your hometown, but
Right.
then all the amenities that are around that are available to you in the mountains, or in, you know, this new urban area, in the downtown locations, are all accessible. And then all of a sudden your rewards list goes from a 2-night stay in a hotel in downtown, where I've seen that a lot in corporate, right? Where they're like, we'll pay for you to go stay in a hotel in just the city that's, you know, the capital city for 2 nights. And
Right.
imagine if you were able to do that for your entire team, but say, go and spend this exclusive 2 nights in this gorgeous cabin, you know, like this location at the foothills of this wonderful mountain resort.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look how close it is. This is Winter Park. This is beautiful skiing and mountain biking in the summertime.
Mm.
There's all kinds of hiking trails. This is a downtown Winter Park is so fun, especially for families. Like people can bring their families, or it can just be, you know, the the team for the company. Um, it's
I'm
funny
glad you
while you're
brought this up, as far as Winter Park being both skiing and mountain biking,
Mhm.
because I think that also shows people the opportunity that it's not just a winter location for
Exactly.
things that
Yeah.
you could do, right? Like just in saying that there's all those summer activities there gives, a company an opportunity to see like maybe there's giveaways twice a year. Maybe
Hmm.
there are opportunities, or to say maybe you have a really high client engagement time in the summer or the winter. If any of those kind of match up, that would be a great opportunity to really show loyalty and to really help your clients feel appreciated and engaged by saying, come join us here, and then really try and create an event space, like kind of plan some activities or agendas around that where you can invite your clients in and say, let's come and join,
Oh yeah.
bring your family, bring here. And particularly for large corporations where they're dealing with high net worth clients, to be able to offer a space already that's set up and accessible to that client, that's huge in terms of strengthening that relationship.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many different ways to utilize this, on the client end, on the company, on the team end, and then also renting this out to other people. Every time we rent out a space for a conference or an event, we're paying um, somebody else's fee on that. So what if the other people were paying our fee? You know what I mean? It's just
Mm-hmm.
a different, um, it touches on so many value opportunities within the company structure.
Yeah, I think you
So
also bring up a good point as far as reducing, like mitigating risk. Because I
yeah.
think some companies may look at it and go, why would we want to purchase a property when we can just go rent a hotel,
Hmm.
ballroom or rent this? And I think you bring up such a great point that this would give you your own space, but because you have the ability to then rent it out when you are not using it, then the liability and the worry of, oh my goodness, we're dropping this much money on a property that we're only using 2 or 3 times a year is greatly reduced, because with the income potential that it can do at that point, it then becomes a recurring revenue opportunity for the business. And then all you have to do is reserve those 2 or 3 times a year that you guys really want it, and then it can still be a revenue machine for you while it's just sitting there in a passive way.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, this is and especially if there are extra funds that you want to um allocate towards something that's going to grow. I mean, think about like this one's $26 million, 26 $750 million. Um think about the growth on that 6% per year conservatively, you know, like there's not a lot of other ways to grow your money passively like that, in addition to having it grow your company because you're improving your company culture, having it improve your client base because you're offering such epic experiences. And then also the income generation from renting it out. I mean, there are so many different wins for this. So this is one that I have had on my radar for a little while now because of the proximity, the location. Um, it's about an hour to downtown Denver here. It's also about an hour to the airport here, Denver International Airport. So the proximity is really good for flying people in from really anywhere in the world. Um, and there are multiple homes on this property, so people can stay long term. Meaning, they can comfortably stay for like a week at a time or however long they need to. There's a lot of amenities on the property to make it desirable to kind of make yourself at home in the space for just rest, rejuvenation, inspiration. And we all know that in order to grow at the rates that we're looking to grow, the creativity and that inspiration, that is one of the biggest assets, and coming to a place like this, just imagine like what could be cultivated when you bring the right group of people together in a space like this, surrounded by nature, in this beauty, what can what can be cultivated and grown. So
Yeah,
so
I
yeah.
really enjoy, and I'm glad that you brought up the fact that there are multiple buildings on this property, because I feel like not only could you have multiple individuals in here, or families or groups, but the fact that, each building has a different atmosphere to it. And so even in the sense of you may not be utilizing all of them just for residents while people are staying, but to be able to say, look, we want a really intimate environment for this particular team
Mhm.
meeting, so we can meet in one of the smaller buildings to really keep that ambiance and that, intensity really contained. So you can have a
Right.
really intensive mastermind or brainstorming operation. But then you also have access to the really large building, the pool, where you have these other larger spaces that give you an opportunity to open up the energy and open up
Mhm.
the activities that you have. And so I think it really gives you so many ways. And because people learn differently in different environments, with different stimuli. And so this gives you lots of opportunity to try and tap into the thing that will help that particular team or that particular group of people really be inspired and really grow in the best way.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm trying to zoom in on this map. I don't know if you can see it. You might have to zoom in on your phone or your whatever you're looking at. But this is a map of the property. Um, I mean, when you were talking about that with having the more intimate settings, I was just imagining Sunny. I'm pretty sure there's either 6 or 7 guest homes here. Imagine if you had like 6 mastermind groups, each meeting in a different location on the property and then coming together, as like teams, each
Mm-hmm.
team, each group meets together and then comes together with their ideas, with their innovations and things like that. So we've got a cabin down here. We've got tennis courts, putting green. I mean, they didn't even put all the photos of these things. There's this pond down here. There's hiking trails throughout. This really is just a perfect space um, for rejuvenation
Mm-hmm.
after a stressful, productive, intense time, just to come here and like recap and renew for the next season, for the next phase.
Yeah, I'm also really glad you brought up that map of the actual property,
Mhm.
because you brought up how close it is to Denver proper and how close it is to the airport. But when you actually look at the property itself, you can see how nestled into the mountains it is.
Oh yeah.
And so, very quickly, and how easy it is for you to have just that all by ourselves serenity of just being able to have the nature experience around you and not have to stress about all of that other. Because so often, you can see properties and they're really large and they're really grandiose and they say they're out there. And yet
Mhm.
when you really look at the property, you're like, oh, we're out there, but we're also out there with 10 neighbors that are all really close, that I
Oh
can still
yeah.
see their cabin. I can still see this. And so to be able to see that, no, you really are surrounded with your property, with your trees away from it. And you can even see in this zoom in, like the closest neighbors, I mean, are how far away on either the left or the right. They
Oh
are
yeah. You've got,
significantly
I think
distanced.
I think they put properties, hold on. I think they put land in between them just to add even more
Mm-hmm.
privacy. Like these, I don't know if you can see it on your screen there, but
Yeah.
these are like different, you know, subdivided lots that typically people do that to create privacy between properties.
Yeah, but you can see that just looking to the far left on there, that those properties over there are far more close together, far
Oh
more
yeah,
tight. And then
yeah,
further to the right, even though they have larger land, some of those houses are fairly close together, that depending upon the hills
hmm
and the tree lines, you might still be able to see your neighbors. But in this particular property, you will not be seeing your neighbors. You will not be worrying about, oh my goodness, if they're having a party and we're having a party, are we all going to be like partying together?
right.
So you'll be able to have your environment, whatever you want that to be, whether you want a party there for your giant team and you're celebrating a big win, or you want, this is a relaxation retreat for our team so that they can, you know, refill their cup before going back. Whichever opportunity or way you want that to look for your team and your company, you have that control, which I think is so
Oh
valuable
yeah,
in this area.
yeah. This, and then look at how close it is to downtown Evergreen. Downtown Evergreen is, it's the kind of place that's got live music, art, awesome restaurants. You know, it's really a great place to hang out. It has great culture downtown. So you don't have to go to downtown Denver. You can come
Mm-hmm.
to it's probably like 15 minutes down the road. Come to downtown Evergreen. There's grocery stores, all kinds of amenities. And then you also have um, you know, mountains to hike. You have Evergreen Mountain. There's Mount Blue Sky, which is a 14,000 footer that you can drive up or hike. There's so much to do here.
I'm
Uh,
glad you brought that up to that, how close it was to Evergreen, because I
yeah.
think one of the other things that, as you are having an event space, right, for your company, for corporate things like that, you also have to think in terms of vendors accessing it,
Mhm.
so
Oh
that
yeah.
you know, if you are having caterers come up, or if you're having people come, you know, maybe you've hired a DJ, like it still is easily accessible to a lot of vendors, and that will also reduce your costs, because a lot of times if you want to build a property like this, you've got to go a couple hours into the woods. You're way out
Right.
from civilization. And so that does create some more costs involved with trying to get those kinds of things out to support your team while they're there.
hmm
And you can see how easy it is for you to get the support in the vendors and the staff or whatever you might need up to this kind of property. And so that's another really big selling point for this particular one, that I don't want to be, you know, glossed over, because I used to be an event planner, and I have done some crazy stuff where we're like, okay, we're loading up an entire like semi truck full of supply stuff because we are going 3 hours into the mountains and we will not have the accessibility of items for this large event. So I love the fact that it's really close by.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's there's so much convenience. I mean, this is why I've been following this, and it really catched my attention because it it literally is set up for the kind of thing we're talking about. When I saw this and I saw the different homes, I called the listing agent, which this is Stanley Niss from Fantastic Frank, Colorado. I called up Stanley and I said, hey, you know, what's this being used for? Because I had in my mind exactly what you and I are talking about, Sunny. And he said that's the kind of thing they've been doing on the property. They've been hosting wellness retreats there. They've been hosting clients and partners and all kinds of business events on the property. They do the occasional wedding. It's not a commercially zoned property, so you have to be mindful about, you know, the scale of the events. It's designed to be more of an intimate setting, like more of a private setting, but they have done events there. It's so private that it doesn't bother the neighbors. Um, So, but um they've really made a lot of use out of it, and now looks like they're looking to just retire from this lifestyle and move on to the next season. And
I think
something
a great
else.
thing
Oh,
about
go ahead.
this property, just as a side note, because like when I look at this property, it reminds me, I've seen two other similar type properties. They're not for sale, but I've been to these properties in Utah, and they are owners. So it's a couple of founders of some very large tech companies here
Mhm.
in Utah. And I went to this owner's house and I asked him because it was very similar to this style, right? More of a log cabin style. And I asked him why he chose that, because he could have built something super crazy into the cabin. And I asked him kind of why he chose that style, what made him want that. And it was so interesting because he has two other homes. So this was actually his third home when we went to the event there. And he said when he got this property, he wanted something that reminded him of his childhood, but
Mm.
that he could share those experiences with his company. So like he was like, my C-suite people are my family. They've helped me grow this company to, a multi-billion dollar company. And so, yes, my family is enjoying it, but I also wanted a space where I could share my memories and help them create memories for their families
I
too.
love that. Yeah.
And so it was so interesting to hear that from him, because I've seen his other homes, and so it wasn't quite the same style as his other two.
Mhm.
And so when he told me that, all of a sudden it created so much more meaning and purpose to why he chose this, because I was just like, oh, he just wants another house, whatever.
Mhm.
And after hearing his story, I could understand why it was important for him, not only for his family, but the fact that he was thinking ahead, going, I want to be able to bring my VPs with me. I want to be able to open this up to these teams so that they can all share in the beauty. And some of his teams, in some of these departments, they would not be able to access this kind of beauty at this scale without him buying it and then opening it up and offering it as an opportunity for his whole company.
Sunny, I love that you brought up that story and that example, because that's actually a lot of what attracted me to this property. Because I grew up with camp as a huge part of my culture growing up. My family owned a camp, so I worked for as long as I can remember. Maybe 4 years old, I started working and helping with this camp, summer camp. And then I went to summer camp when I was old enough. And as adults, like we still love that camp feel, that feel of like friends, and ultimately, a thriving company culture is a culture of friends, right? Um, and bringing these friends, these peers, these partners together in a fun setting, and just cultivating that positive energy and the conversations and the experiences, the shared experiences that we have together, connecting to nature. I mean, to me, that's what camp is all about. And this has that feel of camp, like for adults, like adult camp.
Absolutely.
Um, and you have that experience, but you still have the comforts, and you still have all the other things that we as hardworking adults want to have at this point in our lives.
I know
uh
you like the camping, but maybe you want to sleep on an actual bed. Like
right,
I love
exactly.
sleeping in cabins on the floor, but this is a nice alternative cabin.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So properties like this really can become part of a growing financial strategy, and a growing business strategy and growth strategy. I mean, for a lot of the people that are watching this right now, like this is the next step. This is the next step. And it might be something that maybe you hadn't thought about, maybe have been thinking about for a long time. But we always come to a point in business where it's like, all right, what is the next step for us? Well, maybe real estate is the next thing that we dive into to grow in other layers.
Yeah, I think this is really important to show this because I think, some people just may not realize that it's out there. And that's part of the
Mhm.
reason why, Sarah, you and I are coming on these videos and we're trying to spread the word about some of these properties because this is not your standard search, right?
Mhm.
Particularly when you're thinking in corporate, or if you're thinking about at that level, oftentimes if you get to that point, most people are just thinking, I need an office building, I need a warehouse, I need something at that scale to fulfill that side of the company. And absolutely, as real estate agents, we could help you with that, right? But there are also plenty of other people who are helping you with that. But this is a side that gives you a chance to think about the human element and the human capital within your company, and how could you help to cultivate that, right? Just like in the sense of saying, I need to make sure that the air conditioning and the heating works in the building so that my employees feel comfortable and can be productive. This kind of building and opportunity allows them to emotionally, spiritually become comfortable, to recharge so that they can, again, be productive. And being able to provide an environment on both sides of that is a great way of just amplifying the human capital and the human potential. And by doing that, it will translate into more financial opportunities for you.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, you're spot on. And that's really what this is all about. It's like, of course, there's the direct financial gain from having an asset like this to grow equity and to generate income through, but it's really about the people. Like you said, Sunny, and this is a space for the people to grow, um, and to come together and to connect, and everybody wins with something like this.
Agreed.
Um, one last thing on this property before we go is, so the investment for this property includes all of the furnishings. Not all of it, but here it says a home to be sold furnished with some exceptions, right? So like, so that's just one of those things that as you
And they
get
did
into something
include the
like
grand
this.
piano. If you go back a couple of slides, that grand piano stays.
Yeah, yep.
I know that's a small little thing, but I mean those are not cheap. Anyone who plays knows those are not cheap. They're gorgeous, but they're not cheap. So I love the fact you pointed that out, and to say that all of this comes with it. So not
Mhm.
only are you purchasing the house, but you're purchasing everything, as almost everything that's there. So you already get a sense of what the ambiance and what the feel is in the house. And so you could, again, it's practically turnkey to be able to take this and start creating those opportunities within your company.
Yeah.
Now, with this kind of home, and at this level, of course, we want to make sure that you guys get the best value, that you are really covering your basis. And so a proper due diligence on this really is key. But I mean, just as with any property, due diligence is so important. But this is where, the expertise that Sarah and I have and the team that we work with really come in handy, because not only are you seeing the potential opportunities for capital in human, financial, all cultural capitals here in this kind of opportunity, but by going through a due diligence checklist really gives you a chance to see other hidden potential within this property or another property. If your goal is to try and create that culture, if your goal is to try and find a space that you can grow all of these opportunities in your organization, well, then we want to make sure that as you go through that due diligence checklist, you can see where are these exponential opportunities that are hidden in plain sight. You just didn't know to look for them. And that's why Sarah and I are here and our team is here, so that when you see this property, not only are you hearing our insights of what we see potentially, but when we do a really in-depth exploration of this or any other property that you bring, we can help you see what you can do to grow it, expand it, and to integrate it into your organization to make it really a foundational foothold for everything that you have going for your company.
Exactly. And I would love to know, if you've been watching all the way through, what is one way that you have just noticed, like what's an insight that you came up with during this time we've had together that you didn't think of before? Because Sunny, like Sunny said, there are so many hidden opportunities that when we become aware of them, it just opens up a whole new world. It opens up a whole new realm that we, we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes we get one insight that just kind of changes everything. So let us know if you had any of those insights today already, and just know that's the very beginning. Once we start working on this due diligence and go through a proper analysis of your company and of your real estate portfolio and of opportunities like this, we're going to find all kinds of hidden opportunities. And your mind honestly is going to be your mind's going to be blown at what you start seeing, like, oh my gosh, this has been here the whole time. But it comes back to that statement that I said before, that like, now's the time, right? Now's the time for this next step. And maybe you didn't see it before because maybe it just wasn't time to see it, but maybe now is the time to start seeing these opportunities that are right here ready for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. I think it's so poignant to say it may not have been the right time before, but today is a great day to start. And what better opportunity to say, this is the time now to start looking at how we can grow and be successful together.
Awesome. I love it. All right, I'm ready. Sunny, thank you so much for joining us today. And this is always so fun to meet with you over Zoom over in Salt Lake City, coming from Denver. I wish we could, I wish we could do this in person more often, but that's the whole reason to have a property like this. So
That's
we can get
true.
together and do Zoom calls and do all kinds of collaborative things like this. So
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to talk and to join and collaborate on ideas and inspiration together with you, Sarah.
all right, we'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.